Thanks for tuning in, and welcome to Fitz's Corner. I'm golf artist and historian Jim Fitzpatrick. You may ask, what's a golf artist? Well, I've been painting golf scenes and players, moments in golf, for over 35 years. Showing the art at numerous tour events over that time, I've learned one important thing. You know that old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words? Well, what if you don't know the words? On Fitz's Corner, we'll share the stories behind the images, and hopefully a little of the essence of the game will come to life. If you enjoy the program, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now stick around for a special guest tonight. He's won 21 professional events, including the 1966 PGA Championship. He's played on 2 Ryder Cup teams, and he learned the game right here in Sacramento. Stay tuned for Mr. 59, Alan Geiberger. Welcome to Sacramento.
It's funny to be back too.
Well, as he says, back where it all started. That's amazing.
It's hard to imagine that it's too many years to count. I left here in 1953. I was 15 years old and moved to Santa Barbara, and we formed this local club, Montecito Country Club. You and I talked about it earlier, Montecito Country Club. My parents made sure I could play there. It didn't cost that much to play there. And they had a lot of good juniors. And we formed a high school team. They didn't have a high school team at Santa Barbara High School. We put together a high school team, cleaned everybody's clock. We had the best team in Southern California. Another guy and I were 1 and 2. And our third man, which is part of history really, he's very big in the business world, was our third man in our high school golf team, Chucky Baby, Charles Schwab.
Oh my gosh.
Chuck Schwab was our third man on our high school team.
Oh, that's amazing.
We called him Chucky Baby.
Yeah. Well, you see that picture way over there, number 7 at Pebble, on the wall?
Oh, yeah.
He's in that.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he's so much into golf now, is because of his childhood growing up playing golf at Montecito Country Club.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody knows this little trick. I was 15 years old, moved from Sacramento to Santa Barbara. Northern California thought I still lived in Northern California, so they invited me to play on the Northern California team that would play against Southern California team, juniors, at the state junior championship. So they'd have the state junior championship, and then they'd have the North play the South in junior golf. So Southern didn't know I lived there, so Northern invited me. So I went up there. Now I'm just about ready to turn 16. I won the California State Junior at age 15, and the 4 courses we played, this will never happen again. We played Harding Park, California Country Club,
Lake
Merced, and we finished at Olympic Club. That was our California State Junior. The next day I played for the North team. And I really lived in Southern California. So.
Oh, jeez. So then once you left USC and you turned pro, now that you're playing full-time on the tour, but without, we don't understand this today because of the Golf Channel and the media and everything else. I mean, people today, kids, they know all the main players and who they are with, but all of a sudden, now you're on the tour. Who are the guys that you really got along with, and all of a sudden you're in the mix with?
I did go over to Richmond or somewhere, and that tour played there once, and I think I saw Byron. So Byron was kind of my beginning idol, but I really didn't know that much about him. But they said I swung like him because I would go up and download on the way down. We reach up and download. And there were players on the tour that do that. We call it downloading.
Right.
In other words, setting their hands going up, they go up and set them on the way down, which is a way of Venturi. But when I started on the tour, yes, I was in awe of everybody. Right?
Well, tell us about, you were telling me about playing with Arnold one time, and you actually helped him out a little.
I look back at this and I chuckle. This is in 1960, my first year on tour. So I'm Pensacola Country Club in Pensacola, Florida. And I was in the final group with Arnold Palmer, and I don't remember who else. I think Arnold must have been leading. I don't know. I can't remember. I was close, but anyway, during that round, Arnold, that was the period of his charges. They would all yell, charge, charge, and he would snort and huff and pull up his pants and do it. He'd birdie, no matter how hard the putt was or the chip or whatever shot, he would pull it off. So we're going along there on the 16th hole, and the crowd's going nuts for him to make a charge. And I walked over to him. I don't know. Right now it seems very out of character for me, but I walked over to him. And I said, "Come on, Arnold. You can do it. Put on one of your charges." And he did.
Oh, my God.
He buried the next the last 2 or 3 holes. But anyway, he put on a charge and won by one shot.
Well, I know, traveling around with my artwork, like I see you at Ojai, because we used to have artwork at Ojai and Rancho Murrieta, but a lot of different events. Guys would come up and look at a picture, and they'd start telling me stories, just like what you're saying. And I heard that J.C. Sneed was in the Pro-Am, was not a very fun guy to play with. And so I'm telling this story to this guy about, this story had been told to me. I don't know this. It had been told to me that he came out and they were expecting, oh, this is not going to be any fun at all. But he told a couple jokes on the first hole. And I said, well, this is not too bad at all. Then he never said a word. Never said a word. And they get to the last hole, and this guy has a putt of about 3 feet, and if they make it, J.C. Sneed wins $10,000, the Pro-Am purse. So he, for the first time, walks over, helps the guy line the putt up, says right edge, whatever, and the guy gets up over the putt and then chunks it and knocks it past the hole into a lake.
Oh.
And I'm telling this guy the story, and he goes, that's a true story. I said, well, how do you know? He says, because that guy was me. You're talking about who you played with, and a lot of people maybe don't realize this, but...
Please?
Yes, please. Al won the 1966 PGA Championship. He turned pro in 59, and 30 professional events. That's pretty impressive, including the 1966 PGA Championship. Now listen to this, where Alan bested the likes of Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Sam Snead, Billy Casper, and Gene Littler on Firestone North.
Right.
Now, and all through history, everybody that knows golf, Firestone determines great players. You don't win. You don't have flukes at Firestone. Only
we called it the Monster for a good reason.
You're Mr. 59, and forever will be known as the first guy on the PGA Tour to shoot a 59. And I know the record lasted like 39 years.
We were hoping to get to 40 years so we could have some special thing at 40 years, and bingo, it got nailed. But for 39 years, I've been expecting it to be beaten the next week, because every week I said, well, if I can do it, somebody else can do it. And it just kept going and going, and nobody even shot 59 for so long. Then I started to believe, well, maybe they won't, but they got to. And then finally some started shooting 59.
Well, there's another record that Tiger broke in the year 2000 when he shot, I don't know what he shot, but his winning margin at Pebble Beach in the Open was 15 strokes in the year 2000.
I remember watching that on TV.
And they said he broke the record, but they didn't mention the record he broke, which was like, I'm not sure the exact date, 1862. Old Tom Morris won the Open by 13 strokes. That record lasted for 130 years.
You just don't beat a field that good by that many shots.
Now I'm going to go to another just a quick story because it's so much fun. But our buddy Rosberg, I'm telling him the story. I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm telling him the story about Tony Lima, who won the tournament, and it was one of those ones, non-official tour event, where the champagne got given out, and he got his name, Champagne Tony Lima.
That was an official event.
I thought
the one
it was
where
like
Tony won because I was there.
Rosberg and he had to play a sudden death, I think, the 18th hole, which was a dogleg right, and Lima blows it way right. And he says, that could be out of bounds, and Rosberg goes, that is out of bounds. So he hit a second ball.
Oh. They
walk down around the turn in the cart path there, and here's the ball in the edge of the fairway. And Rosberg can't believe it. He goes, it must have hit that cart path.
And Rossi had his hands on his hips. Yeah,
here we go again. So anyway, years later, two guys walk up to Rosberg, and they say, Mr. Rosberg, you remember that playoff and that ball that Tony Lima hit? He said, yes. He says, well, I hope there's no hard feelings, but that ball was out of bounds.
Oh, really?
And they said, we were both Marines, ex-Marines, and we just thought it was the right thing to do. We kicked the ball back in play.
I'd never heard that before.
Now, Rosberg told me this, and Rosberg looked at the guys and he says, don't worry about it all. But he said, guys, I will tell you one thing. He says, I knew Tony Lima really well. And he told me, he says, I'm just not playing that well. And if I don't win this tournament, I've got a job offer which I'm going to take. It's a good one at a club. So if you guys hadn't done that, he'd probably still be alive today. And Bob just turned and walked away. That is just so bad.
Now, speaking of Tony Lima, when I won the PGA that night, Tony Lima was killed in the plane crash.
Well, just to wrap it up, I want to thank you so much on behalf of the First Tee for being here.
Oh, thank you.
It's just wonderful. And also, thank you for everything that you've done for the game.